Tonight at 2:22 a.m., an angel was seen standing at your door. They brought something sacred. If unopened, it vanishes forever. This is a once-in-a-lifetime alignment. Don't shut heaven out. Tonight, 2:22 a.m. A number not random, not meaningless. It is a divine timestamp, a heavenly code whispered in the quiet hours while the world slumbers. While most sleep unaware, heaven's calendar marked this moment long ago. 2:22. The numbers echo, not once but thrice, a signal, a doubling, a tripling. It is the divine language of agreement, confirmation, and sudden visitation. At that precise hour, while your house sat in silence, while the lamps were low and the clocks ticked unseen, a visitor arrived. An angel, not imagined, not metaphorical, stood at the threshold of your door, not hovering in some distant heaven, but close, tangible, present, sent. The air shifted, the veil thinned, and you didn't even know. This is no myth. It happened. Tonight, at 2:22 a.m., in the hush of your home, with the world suspended in half-sleep, the angel approached. Not loud, not demanding, but carrying something sacred, wrapped, sealed, untouched by human hands. A scroll, a sword, a sealed letter, a dream, a release, a wording, a key. What it was is known only in the spirit. But one truth remained: it had to be open. If left untouched, ignored, or dismissed, it would vanish, not just from your hands, but from your story. Whoever Michael watches, the spirit leans in. The heavens are not casual in their movements. This visitation wasn't for the masses. This message is not broadcast for every ear to hear. It is for the ones who have learned to unclench their hearts. For those who carry quiet desperation, faithful expectation. It is for you. But there is a condition. There is always a condition. The angel does not barge in. The sacred cannot be forced. You must open. And to open, you must be still. Still in spirit. Silent in soul. Obedient in posture. The door doesn't swing wide through noise or frenzy. It opens like a sealed envelope, by reverence, not reaction. Understand the weight of this hour. The alignment of 2:22 is not a pattern. It is a prophecy. A hinge in time. A doubling of destiny. A sacred appointment inked before you were born. What waits at the door might be the restoration you've begged for, a calling you dared not claim, a warning you can no longer ignore, or a covenant that seals your next season. And if you miss it, if you silence the knock, if you turn away, the ache will remain. Not loud, just steady. A quiet longing for something you once always received. Do not shut heaven out. Listen. Type "I will open the door" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 222 is now upon your home. By the clock of heaven, 2:22, the doors tremble. The hour struck not on your phone or your watch, but in the realms where time bends to eternity's will. It was not just another second passing. It was a breath held in the lungs of heaven, released upon your doorstep. A moment rare, more holy. And in that divine second, the threshold between seen and unseen shuddered as Archangel Michael, guardian of thresholds, approached your house with a lamp in his hand and a sealed scroll pressed tightly against his chest. He did not speak. He did not knock in the way men knock. The air shifted instead, a pressure change, a sudden stillness, a moment when your heart may have fluttered without cause. The wind stood still. A chill brushed against the doorframe, though the night held no storm. There was a scent in the air, not of this world, like rain touching stone that hasn't seen water in years. The kind of scent that makes your soul remember something your mind forgot. And in that moment, the angel waited. The lamps in heaven are never lit without reason. The scroll was sealed in fire and grace, and it bore your name. But heaven waits for no man beyond its mercy. The alignment will fade by sunrise. This hour is tender and terrifying. Within the next few moments, your yes or your silence will be recorded not on paper, but in the archives of the Spirit. Every delay counts. Every second lingers as a witness. You must respond before the window closes. This message is not for every ear. It was never meant to be. It is for the watchers, the weary, the ones who have prayed in small rooms, who have dared to believe that silence does not mean abandonment. It is for the ones who have been faithful when unseen, loyal when overlooked. It is for the ones who felt the wind shift last night but didn't know why they woke. Now you know. Because in the ordinary, divinity interrupted. A child slept quietly down the hall. A phone lay face down. A cup of tea cooled beside your bed. And yet, heaven knocked. Two for witness. U for covenant. U for fulfillment. 222, the triple confirmation. The rhythm of destiny encoded in time itself. A moment when heaven speaks 3 times so the soul does not doubt what the ears missed. I heard the sound. I saw the flame. He spoke to me. The voice of the Spirit broke through the veil with clarity that cuts through confusion. Open, or it is gone. Answer, where the blessing passes like morning mist. This is not a metaphor. This is not a parable. This is your moment in heaven's calendar. What you do in the next breath determines the trajectory of your next season. There is a test, and it is small, so small you might overlook it. Do not speak until I instruct you. Stand and walk to the door. Light no candle, make no announcement. Just move. Because when the angel bows, scroll still in hand, silence will be the currency that opens the scroll. The angel will not beg. The heavens will not chase. But the scroll is extended now, in real time, in the Spirit. The silence of the angel is not absence, it is invitation. And your silence, your stillness, your yes, becomes your opening. Stand now. The door is spiritual. The hour is sacred. The gift is eternal. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1221 is now activated over your life. There has been a quiet unraveling, a thread pulled from the edges of your peace, one stitch at a time. You feel it, though no one names it aloud. The shift, the unease, the way familiar rooms now feel foreign. Conversations once filled with laughter now drift into silence. Something sacred has been disrupted, and the world around you pretends not to notice. You sit at the same table, but the weight has changed. The atmosphere betrays what mouths will not say. There are whispers in corridors, eyes that look through you, not at you. You sense it, not imagined, not paranoia, but spiritual tension cloaked in the ordinary. What was once safe has grown sharp. There are watchers, but not angels. Not yet. These watchers are veiled in smiles, wrapped in politeness, but they study your steps. Not out of concern, but calculation. There are those around you who have benefited from your silence. They have been comforted by your delay, emboldened by your hesitation. They have mistaken your long suffering for weakness, and they've grown comfortable in the shadows. Their plots are not grand, they are subtle. Unchained disappointment, a text unsent, a comment misquoted. They do not throw stones, they rearrange the path beneath your feet. You lie awake and wonder, why now? Why this feeling of being exposed, of being surrounded but unseen? You wake up with names in your mouth, names you didn't call for. You pray and feel like the words hover instead of rise. You try to anchor your heart, but everything inside feels unsettled. And now, this moment, this 222 visitation, it begins to make sense. The angel's arrival was not arbitrary. Heaven did not send a messenger just to stir your curiosity. The sacred item offered is directly tied to the unrest you've been experiencing. It may be a revelation meant to expose what's been brewing behind closed doors. It may be a healing that unmasks betrayal. It may be a covenant meant to sever what was draining your purpose. You thought you were protected, and you were. But now you're discerning the seams, the thin spaces where reality starts to leak, where the false coverings begin to fall. They don't know you know, not fully. But your spirit has heard the faint cracking of walls that were built against you. There is a plot. There is resistance. There is tension. And what they plan in half-light, in assumptions, in spiritual ignorance. But heaven knows. Heaven sees. The angel stood at your door because what you are meant to receive must arrive before their schemes manifest. It is your antidote, your counter-strike, your safeguard. And if you ignore it, if you keep sleeping, keep deferring, keep doubting, then the opportunity slips into the unseen once more, and what was meant to shield you will vanish. You must see this clearly now. The ache in your spirit, the silence in your circle, the changes in tone. It's all spiritual. It's all real. And it's all connected to the scroll still waiting to be opened. You are being positioned, not punished. But if you delay your response, the cost will not come as thunder. It will come in subtle losses. The door that should have opened stays closed. A word that should have been spoken never comes. A relationship that was meant to rise fades into gray. Not disasters, but delays. And delays that were never meant to be. So I ask you now, will you continue to sleep while heaven stands at your door? Or will you rise in silence and receive what has already been assigned to your name? Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 636 has now been written over your name. If this word has stirred something inside you, if you feel the sacred alignment of this hour, then hear this. You are not only called to receive, you are called to help awaken others before their window closes. Every seed you sow into this ministry becomes a ripple in eternity. As you give, you don't just support a voice. You become part of a divine echo that reaches others in their own 222 moment. The word says in Luke 6:38, "Give, and it will be given to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." This is your invitation to sow into the soil of sacred alignment. I believe many of you are feeling the pull to act prophetically. I did not come here asking, but heaven is prompting. Step forward boldly by joining as a YouTube member, sending a super thanks, or sowing through the PayPal link in the description below. This isn't just support, it's spiritual agreement. Heaven records giving like it records obedience. Type ISOW in alignment if you're one of them. Blessing code 777 is now in motion. What you are walking through is not chaos. It is calculation. What seems like confusion on earth is precision in the spirit. The strange delays, the sudden distance between people, the gnawing sense that something unseen is pressing against you. These are not coincidences. They are calibrations. They are part of a divine strategy that heaven is orchestrating to position you for the next season. But hear this clearly now. Conflict does not mean absence. Resistance does not mean rejection. You are not being ignored by God. You are being intensified. There is a war, but it is not with flesh and blood. The real battle is not in the conversations that went silent, the meetings that dissolved, or the strange resistance in your progress. The battle is happening behind the veil, in realms where scrolls are read aloud, where charges are weighed, where angels await permission to move. It is spiritual warfare, but not loud, not explosive. It is strategic. Every delay, every silence, every redirected conversation is a move on the board, and the enemy is not playing casually. He knows your name. He knows your calling. And he knows that if you open what the angel brought at 2:22 a.m., everything changes. You are not just being attacked, you are being targeted. The pressure is not random. It is proportionate. Because you have been marked as chosen, the resistance has increased. Not to destroy you, but to disorient you. Not to break you, but to blind you just long enough to miss your moment. But heaven has already accounted for that. Angels are watching. God is measuring. Loving escapes his noise. The tear you wiped away in silence. The breath you held during the argument. The kindness you showed when betrayal stared you in the face. Heaven has recorded it all. And the ledger of your faithfulness has triggered this sacred alignment. That sealed item the angel carried, it is not just a scroll or a blessing. It is a legal document in the spirit. A key. A summons. A record. For some, it is the very evidence heaven needs to release delayed justice. For others, it is a recommissioning, a calling back to destiny. And for some, it is a notice to the enemy's camp. This one is no longer available for torment. What you do with it now determines what happens next. You must not react. You must respond. Reactions are born in fear. Responses are born in stillness. When you react, you hand the enemy your power. When you respond with clarity, with silence, with obedience, you summon heaven's army. Rage invites confusion. Stillness invites deliverance. This is not a moment to prove anything to anyone. This is a moment to align your spirit with heaven's instructions. The sealed gift was not given to impress. It was given to equip. You don't need to shout to shift the atmosphere. Your obedience in private will cause divine acceleration in public. And yes, it feels personal. because it is. But the opposition isn't coming against your personality. It is resisting your purpose. What you are sensing now is not just spiritual tension. It is the echo of your own authority awakening. When you finally stop shrinking, when you finally stop second-guessing, when you finally open the door, the entire realm around you must respond. And that's what the enemy fears. Not your presence, but your position. Understand this. The fire you're feeling is not to consume you. It's to refine you. The silence you've endured is not punishment. It is the pause before promotion. The conflict is not a curse. It is confirmation that your calling is too great to go uncontested. This is not the enemy's playground. This is your proving ground. So align your heart. Set your spirit in place. Heaven has not left you behind. Heaven is watching your response. And your response, right now, is being counted as an act of war. Type "I align with heaven" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 441 is now shielding your mind and spirit. There is a stirring, not in the wind, not in the weather, but in the spirit. Heaven has drawn a boundary in time, and the line is nearing. The angel did not come just to deliver. The angel came to warn. There is a short window now, 72 hours, a divine countdown already unfolding. And within this time, something hidden will surface. Something cloaked will step into the light. Not because the enemy chooses to reveal it, but because heaven has issued a summons. And what is being prepared in secret will no longer stay concealed. Listen closely. You will begin to notice signs, not loud, not obvious, but undeniable for those whose spirits are awake. A phone call from someone you hadn't heard from in months. An email that triggers something dormant. A sudden shift in a conversation where someone's tone no longer matches their words. There will be subtle confrontations, not always verbal, but spiritual. Watch for doors that suddenly close, meetings that get canceled without reason, individuals who once supported you beginning to pull away. This is not rejection. This is separation by design. Heaven is rearranging the stage, clearing space for what must be exposed. The adversaries, the pretenders, the silent manipulators, are shifting too. They sense it, even if they can't name it. They feel something unraveling. They are moving quickly, hoping to finalize their schemes before the light hits them. But they've already lost the upper hand. The angel's arrival at 2:22 was not only your invitation, it was their expiration notice. The scroll is sealed, the timing is set, and heaven is already moving to interrupt their plans. Do not demand full understanding right now. Heaven rarely gives complete detail before the appointed moment. You will see just enough to obey. There may be clues, repeated phrases in dreams, names that surface multiple times, places your spirit recoils from for no natural reason. What to? Write it down. Record everything. Patterns are prophetic, and within those patterns, heaven will speak. You may begin to feel the pressure in your body, sudden exhaustion, moments of overwhelming alertness, dreams that feel heavier than usual. The spiritual climate is intensifying. Animals may behave strangely. Nature may grow still when you walk outside. These are not to be dismissed. They are signs, heaven's whispers to the discerning. There may be a midnight bell in your spirit, a phrase that keeps repeating, a moment that keeps playing in your memory. It's not anxiety, it's activation. The sacred item that was offered at 2:22 a.m. It carries urgency. If unopened, if ignored, if dismissed as mere emotion or imagination, it will dissolve. This is heaven's law. Sacred things come with sacred timings. The door does not remain open forever. Heaven is precise. Obedience must be swift and reverent. You do not need to tell everyone. In fact, you must not. This is a moment for silence, documentation, and prayerful watching. Maintain your position. Be alert but not anxious. Be quiet but not passive. Heaven will reveal what needs to be seen, and you will know what to do. For now, do not react publicly. Do not fight battles you haven't been called to. Stay hidden in obedience. Heaven moves best through the quieted soul. Write what happens. Journal the interruptions. Timestamp the unusual. These are not coincidences. They are coordinates. And when the moment comes, and it will, something that has been slithering through shadows will be pulled into the open. You won't have to expose it. You'll just need to recognize it. Heaven will do the unveiling, but your readiness will determine your response. Within 72 hours, light will strike what's been hiding, and the outcome will rest on one question. Did you open the door when heaven knocked? Type I will be ready in the comments if this message is for you. Blessing code 303 has been activated to guard the window of time that now surrounds you. Be still, for heaven fights when you do not. The war is real, yes, but it is not always yours to wage. There are moments in the spirit where silence becomes your shield, where stillness becomes your sword. And this is one of those moments. The angel did not come to stir panic. The angel came to initiate strategy. This is not the time for noise. This is not the time for impulsive actions or desperate explanations. This is the time to let the sacred item settle into your spirit like oil sinking into cloth. If you move too quickly, if you speak too soon, you risk leaking what was meant to be sealed until pointed release. Withdraw now, not from purpose but from distraction. Pull away from the noise of comparison, the constant alerts, the voices that pull you into small battles. Fast, not to prove your devotion, but to create space in your soul where clarity can land. Even if only for one day. Create a moment of silence in the very hour heaven visited, 2:22 a.m. If you can, rise in that hour, even if only for 30 minutes. Sit in the quiet. Open no device. Light no screen. Just listen. Let the atmosphere teach you. Let the stillness unwrap what the angel handed you in silence. There is wisdom in posture. You cannot war like everyone else. You are not like everyone else. You were not visited by heaven so you could rant online or defend yourself in flesh. You were visited because you carry a prophetic weight, and prophetic people must walk differently. So, breathe slowly. Repeat sacred phrases like banners. I'm held. I am hidden. This door opens by heaven's hand. Let these words root into your soul until they become your internal rhythm. Heaven is tuning your spirit like a harp before a song is played. It is not delay. It is preparation. Perform small rituals that carry deep intention. Light a candle and let it burn beside your journal. Write one sentence, a prayer or promise, and fold it beneath your pillow. Let your body remember what your spirit is carrying. Open a window just before dawn. Watch the light return. These are not superstitions. They are sacred touch points, places where the physical comes into agreement with the spiritual. But above all, guard the revelation. Do not share this with many. Not yet. The vision is still forming. The scroll is still unfolding. Speak only with those who know how to hold the secret in prayer. A spiritual elder, an intercessor, a prophetic friend, but maybe two, a more. Be cautious. Be careful. Heaven moves in hidden places first. Don't let what is sacred be trampled by casual ears. Secrecy is not deception. It is protection. Write down every occurrence. Timestamp it. Record every sentence that lands heavy in your chest. Keep your receipts. Heaven uses records. These little things are not little at all. They become the evidence in the court of heaven. Should accusations arise, should doubts whisper. You are not paranoid. You are being positioned. Build spiritual boundaries around your day. Limit contentious conversations. Step away from those who pull you into cycles of fear or drama. Guard your energy. Guard your time. Cancel things that feel spiritually off. Heaven's flow must not be clogged by earthly chaos. And know this: your silence is not fear, it is strategy. Your stillness is not surrender, it is sacred agreement. You do not need to chase answers right now. You are not abandoned. You are being surrounded. And the sacred, the scroll, the answer, the gift, it will find you if you make room for it. Heaven has already marked your door, and I'll let your heart align with what's coming. Type "I am under divine strategy" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 8844 has now been appointed over your home and timeline. This hour is not merely to save you, it is to awaken and empower you. Heaven does not knock at the door of the timid without also offering the strength to stand and answer. This is not just about protection from what's coming. It's about activation into who you were always meant to be. You are not who they remember. You are not who they whispered about. You are not the fearful one they assumed would stay quiet forever. That version of you expired at 2:22 a.m. when the scroll was offered and the heavens tilted in your direction. This hour is your emergence. This is not survival. This is ascension. The shaking around you has not been to destroy. It has been to reveal. You've been tested, yes. Pressed, absolutely. But not crushed. The sleep that once wrapped you like a fog is lifting, and clarity is starting to settle like dawn on water. You are beginning to see not just the threat, but the truth. Not just the disruption, but the doorway. Your spirit is remembering who you are, what you carry, what you were born for. And though you may feel the tremble in your hands, know this: heaven does not place scrolls in the hands of the unstable. If the angel came to you, it is because you have been counted worthy to receive. You are being transformed now. You may not feel it fully, but it's happening. The proof is already appearing. You're sleeping differently, longer, deeper, or perhaps shorter, but with greater clarity. Your dreams are shifting. You feel the atmosphere before you even walk into rooms. You notice when something is off before it is said aloud. This is discernment awakening. This is not anxiety. This is spiritual sight returning to your body. Your time has begun to reorder. Priorities have begun to shift. You've stopped explaining yourself so much. You started asking different questions. That is authority being restored. There are things you must begin to do now, not in grand displays, but in quiet confidence. Speak a word, not to be heard, but because it's time. Reclaim time that was stolen. Forgive, but do so strategically. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is the severing of soul ties that kept your spirit entangled in places where you no longer belong. When you refuse to retaliate, you reclaim your spiritual footing. When you don't answer the rumor, you let it die without fuel. That is power. That is growth. That is heaven maturing you into stability and fire at the same time. Even the setbacks were disguised setups. What looked like delay was heaven rearranging the path so that you would arrive not broken, but ready. You were not late. You were being sharpened. And now everything the enemy used to shame you becomes the very material of your promotion. Do not look back with regret. Look forward with divine boldness. Speak life over your past. Declare ownership over your future, and step forward without apology. Take one moment today. Name a single victory. Speak it aloud. Then write down your next bold, obedient step. It does not need to be dramatic. Just real. Just holy. Just aligned. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a new schedule. Maybe it's deleting something that was weighing your spirit down. But do it. Don't wait for permission. You have already been authorized. Things will begin to shift around you. People will notice without knowing why. Some will treat you with new respect. Others will grow distant. Let them. Let the shifting happen. Don't chase. Don't cling. The gift that came to your door was not just a scroll. It was an elevation. And you can't carry the sacred while still clinging to the shallow. Rise now. Not as a survivor, but as one activated. The angel did not come to comfort you. The angel came to commission you. This is the beginning of your movement. Type "I rise in power" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1717 is now empowering your atmosphere. Hear now the truth behind the turbulence. Hear the heart of heaven beating through the conflict, the delay, the midnight wake-ups, and the whispers of unrest. This is not just a test. It is not just warfare. All of this, is an unlocking. Heaven is releasing what has been withheld. A divine unsealing is occurring, and your life has become the battleground where revelation is meeting resistance. But here, in this sacred moment, the mystery is no longer hidden. The veil is parting. The purpose is being unveiled. You are standing at the threshold of restoration, assignment, and divine release. The trials you've endured weren't just random events or cruel interruptions. They were carefully permitted thresholds, boundaries heaven allowed to expose what needed to be purged and to prepare you for what needed to be placed in your hands. The scroll brought by the angel at 2:22 a.m. was not symbolic. It was strategic. It held the documentation of your next phase. For some, it contained a mantle, a weighty spiritual assignment you didn't ask for but were chosen to carry. For others, it held closure, a holy seal over a long cycle of loss or confusion. and for some, it held a restoration, a long-awaited promise that the season of famine has ended. Imagine a locked door in the spirit realm, rusted from years of delay. That door has begun to move. The key was never your effort, it was your yes. It was your stillness. It was your tears in the night that watered the floor of your prayer closet when no one was watching. That key has now turned. And what was archived in heaven for years, prophetic words spoken over you, intercessions from ancestors, unfulfilled promises, has now been brought forward for immediate review. The scroll was heaven's announcement. Now begins the unlocking. Some things will manifest quickly. A door opens, a word is confirmed, a person reappears with divine timing. But other things will take root slowly, because what is holy grows in seasons, not spurts. What you just received is not a spark, it's a seed of destiny that will become a tree of legacy. You must now steward it in faith, trusting that heaven has already aligned the timelines ahead of you. You don't have to create the road, just walk it. Trust that your obedience has already shifted what years of striving could not. The Spirit speaks even now. What was delayed is now marked. Step forward when the door creaks. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is a spiritual command. When the next opportunity brushes against your spirit, even if it feels small, step into it. The creak in the spirit, that faint flutter in your chest, that sudden moment of knowing, that is the echo of the scroll opening fervor. The door will not slam wide open at once. It will creak. It will inch. It will test your sensitivity to subtle movements. Heaven is watching not for noise, but for response. And here is what you must never forget. Heaven knows your hidden groan. The restlessness you felt last week. The discomfort in rooms that used to feel safe. The ache when you looked around and couldn't explain why things didn't fit anymore. That was the beginning of the unlocking. That was heaven preparing you for this sacred offering. It wasn't just emotional. It was prophetic positioning. You have been seen. You have been selected. And now, you have been summoned. Type "I receive the revelation" in the comments if this message resonates in your spirit. Blessing code 555 is now being engraved upon your purpose. If this word confirmed what your spirit already suspected, if this moment has become a mirror for your own hidden groans and whispered prayers, then you are part of something holy. And I invite you now, not just to listen, but to stand in divine agreement. Your support helps this message reach others still wrestling in silence, still unsure whether to open the door when heaven knocks. Your giving isn't to a voice, it's to a mission. It's to the sending of the scrolls. Like oil poured into lamps, your support fuels the reach of this word across digital altars. Scripture says he who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. As you sow into this movement, through YouTube membership, super thanks, or directly via the PayPal link in the video description, you align yourself with the flow of the prophetic. What you release is not lost. It is multiplied and measured in eternity. Type "I support heaven's move" if you feel led. Blessing code 9911 is now activated over your seed. This is the hour where destiny no longer whispers, it summons. The angel did not come to hand you comfort. The angel came to deliver a verdict. The delay is over. The silence has served its purpose. The sacred gift at your door was never meant to simply soothe your wounds. It was meant to activate your assignment. This is not a time to reflect. It is a time to respond. And heaven is waiting to see who will say yes with more than just their lips. Heaven is watching for movement, for action, for obedience wrapped in faith. It is your agreement that now unlocks the gate. The shift is not theoretical, it is tangible. And you must anchor this moment by declaring who you are. Heaven has already inscribed your name, but the earth needs to hear it too. Say it aloud. I am chosen. I am appointed. I am aligned. These are not affirmations. They are decrees. And when your voice agrees with what heaven has already written, things move. Chains loosen. Windows open. Your resistance falls away. Your declarations are not empty words. They are keys in the invisible realm. But declaration without action is incomplete. There is a sacred first step now required. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. It has to be deliberate. You must symbolically open the door that the angel stood before. This may mean making a decision you've postponed, taking up the vision you laid down, or releasing what you've clung to in fear. What matters is movement in faith. Record your testimony, even if the evidence is small. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Heaven works through witnesses. What you record becomes part of your spiritual archive, a proof of agreement with the word that was sent. Within the next 24 hours, you must obey one clear instruction. For some, it will be to reconcile a broken relationship. For others, to finally launch what God birthed in your spirit long ago. For some, it will mean giving where there is risk. For others, it may be an act of holy solitude. But whatever heaven stirs, do not delay. Obedience is the activation switch. Heaven is already in position, waiting for your yes to step into movement. Even the smallest obedience carries weight right now. Visit the person you avoided. Speak the truth that burns in your bones. Release the apology you owe. Or stand silently when others expect a reaction. Every act counts. This isn't about performance. It's about alignment. God is not measuring how loud you shout. He's watching how deeply you agree. Let this truth settle in your soul. Movement activates destiny. Doors are already shifting, but they respond to footsteps. Just as faith without works is dead, so destiny without motion remains suspended. And motion, in this hour, must be paired with stillness of spirit. Not impulsive, not chaotic, not grasping, but wise, measured, and spirit-led. Your steps must come from revelation, not restlessness. Choose someone, just one, to walk this with you. A confidant, a spiritual midwife, someone who knows how to pray, not pry. Let them witness your next move. Let them agree with you in the spirit. Heaven always honors covenant relationships built around obedience. Your journey was never meant to be walked in isolation. And now, carry something with you. A token, a sign, a ribbon, a coin, a small stone. Something physical to remind your soul of the invisible scroll you received. Let it be a touch point. When doubt rises, hold it. When fear whispers, look at it. Let it say, I agreed with heaven. I opened the door. Because from this moment on, your life is no longer paused. Heaven has moved. And now, so must you. Heaven waits for your yes. Say it now. Type "I activate my destiny" in the comments if this word ignited something within you. Blessing code 1001 is now governing your steps. While the world sleeps and your city turns its lights down low, another realm is fully awake. You cannot hear them, but they are speaking. You cannot see them, but they are moving. For in the early hours, yes, in the stillness of 2:22 a.m., a silent exchange was triggered in the spirit. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was profound. You didn't have to speak. You didn't have to sign. Your obedience, your stillness, your internal yes, that was your signature. And heaven responded. Behind the veil, beyond time, there is a place where angels gather at golden tables and scrolls are unrolled under eternal light. This is where your name was mentioned, not just as a participant in faith, but as one who was summoned into alignment. There are ledgers in that realm, filled with names, dates, and decisions. And when the angel stood at your door with the sealed item, that was not just a visitation, it was a signal to the council of heaven that you had been marked for exchange. In that moment, a transaction was initiated. Not with money, not with words, but with obedience. Every time you said yes in silence, every time you held your peace when accused, every time you stayed faithful in obscurity, those were deposits. Those were sacrifices. And now, they have reached a fullness that demanded a response. There hath been an exchange. Not because you fought for it, but because you yielded. And yielding is the greatest currency in the spirit. What was taken is now being returned. What was delayed is now being delivered. What was misused is now being reclaimed. There are chains melting like wax, not by your striving, but by divine agreement. There are documents being signed, spiritual contracts sealed by the blood of Jesus and enforced by angelic witnesses. Your name has been cleared in realms where accusations once echoed. There are voices that once stood against you that have now been silenced by higher authority. And while you stood still, heaven spoke. While you were quiet, heaven moved. You were not passive. You were participating in the divine through restraint. The restraint was not weakness, it was worship. And that worship activated heaven's justice on your behalf. Even now, angels are being dispatched. You may not see the movement immediately in your bank account, your relationships, or your opportunities, but it has already been set in motion. The scroll was opened. The seal was broken. The declaration has been forth. There are intercessors in heaven, ancestors, saints, unknown faithful ones, who have stood in prayer for you. And they witnessed this exchange. They saw the moment when heaven responded to your surrender. They know what's coming. Some of the pressure you felt lately was not resistance. It was spiritual traffic. Angels moving. Documents shifting. Heaven restructuring the landscape of your life in accordance with the new decree. Timing is everything. And 222 was not chosen randomly. It is a hinge in the heavens, a pivot point on the eternal calendar. You stood in it. You responded to it. And now, the records have been updated. The scroll has been marked with your obedience. The exchange is real, even if you feel nothing yet. Even if your natural eyes are still adjusting. The trade has been made in your favor. So do not rush to see results, just stay in posture. Stay in reverence. Stay in readiness. Heaven knows exactly how to deliver what has already been signed over to you. While you sleep, heaven speaks. While you stand quietly, heaven returns what was taken. Type "I agree" with heaven's exchange in the comments if you bear witness to this word. Blessing code 2299 is now unfolding in unseen dimensions. Now hear this, and let it be sealed in your spirit. Justice is coming. Not the kind man tries to create with noise and performance, but spiritual justice, the justice that comes from the throne of the Most High. The justice that sees every secret wound, every unseen loss, every whispered betrayal. Heaven does not forget. And when the scroll was delivered to your door at 2:22 a.m., it did not arrive in silence for no reason. It was not merely a gift. It was a legal dispatch from heaven's court, signaling that divine reversal has been authorized. They meant to keep you small. They meant to bind you in cycles of silence and shame. They counted on you shrinking, staying quiet, backing down. What they did was not always dramatic. Sometimes it was just enough to make you question your worth, your vision, your assignment. But now, the court of heaven has ruled in your favor. What they meant for harm is being turned on them, not because you demanded revenge, but because God cannot be mocked. Heaven is a God of mercy, yes, but heaven is also a God of justice. And in this season, the two are not in conflict, they are in convergence. Reversal is not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet but absolute. A table turned, a name cleared, a voice restored. For some, it will be a restored reputation. Lies will collapse under the weight of truth. For others, it will be tangible. Finances that were blocked suddenly flow. Relationships that were poisoned suddenly break open in peace or are cleanly removed without chaos. Positions you were denied will now pursue you. Opportunities once withheld will arrive again, this time with favor attached. But hear this, vengeance is not yours. Do not seek it. Do not pray for their downfall. You must rise above it. Because the true reversal is not just their exposure, it's your elevation. The greatest reversal isn't when they fall, it's when you rise so high they can't reach you anymore. That's what's happening now. You're being lifted, and not by the approval of men, but by the decree of God. They cannot stop what heaven has already scheduled, and no shadow can cover what God Himself has chosen to reveal. Your silence in the battle did not go unnoticed. That was recorded. It was not weakness. It was witness. And that silence has now been converted into movement. Divine recalibration is underway. Those who schemed in the dark will be brought into the light, not to destroy them, but to correct the imbalance their injustice created. Heaven does not retaliate like man. Heaven restores. Heaven rebalances. Heaven repays with interest. Declare this now, not as a wish, but as a prophetic act. I declare the scales tilted in my favor. Say it aloud. Let it echo through your atmosphere. For the scales are not just shifting, they are being recalibrated permanently. Heaven has weighed your situation, and you have been found faithful. And because of that faithfulness, restoration is coming in waves. Not only for your sake, but for those connected to your obedience. Remember, restoration is holistic. It touches your heart, your home, your relationships, your provision, your peace, your purpose. The reversal will be deep. It will not be cosmetic. God is not interested in temporary bandages. He is restoring legacy. And when it returns, you must steward it well. You must manage the blessing with gratitude and wisdom. You must not use your elevation to gloat, but to glorify. Because heaven has ruled, the case has been reviewed, the verdict has been released, the court of heaven is open, and your case has found favor. Type "the scales are shifting" for me in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 3003 is now active over every area that was once out of balance. The night at 2:22 a.m., heaven knocked. It was not just a moment, it was a divine intersection. A once-in-a-lifetime alignment where eternity bent toward your doorway and waited. You were not dreaming. You were not imagining. That sacred visitation, whether sensed or unseen, was real. The angel stood. The scroll was extended. A gift, sealed in silence, delivered by the order of heaven, and you were the one it was sent to. This was not symbolic. It was spiritual. It was sacred. And the question still echoes in the atmosphere. Did you open it? You have walked through the mystery. You have endured the unrest. You have listened through the warning. You have obeyed through stillness. And now you have come to the edge of the shift, the turning of the page, the opening of the sealed thing. A scroll that was brought did not just carry comfort, it carried commission. It was an invitation not only to receive something holy but to become someone heaven has long prepared. The angel did not come to preserve your past. The angel came to ignite your future. So let this final word settle in your spirit like oil on dry ground. You are sealed. You are seen. You are sent. Nothing about your life is random. Nothing about your pain was wasted. Every tear was recorded. Every silence was witnessed. Every delay was recalculated for your good. You are not behind schedule. You are on heaven's timeline. The scroll has been opened. The exchange has occurred. And now, the favor of God is going before you to prepare what no man can block. Speak this blessing aloud, wherever you are, with boldness and reverence. I receive heaven's timing. I welcome divine instruction. I walk in clarity, covered and called. No door formed against me will remain closed. I am aligned with the movement of heaven. And let this prayer be your daily anchor as the days unfold from this moment. Lord, when you knock, I will open. When you whisper, I will listen. When you move, I will follow. And when you send, I will go, covered, commissioned, and confident. This moment is not the end of a revelation. It is the beginning of a reformation. Carry what you've received with humility, but walk with the boldness of one who knows they've been chosen. Let your posture speak louder than your words. Let your movement reflect the magnitude of the sacred thing you now carry. And above all, do not forget the invitation that started it all. Do not shut heaven out. When it knocks, open. When it offers, receive. When it instructs, obey. You've been visited. You've been marked. You've been changed. Go in peace. The heavens move on your behalf. Type "I have opened the door" in the comments if this entire word was yours. Final blessing code 2222 is now sealed upon your path. If this message has met you in a holy place, if it has confirmed what your spirit was already sensing in silence, then I invite you to partner with this divine assignment. What we carry here is not content. It is a consecrated movement. And every time you support, you help send the scrolls to someone else's door. There are others who haven't yet opened their window at 2:22. Your seed helps ensure the next one hears heaven's knock. Scripture says in Proverbs 11:25, "Whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered." As you sow through Super Thanks, become a YouTube member, or give through PayPal in the video description, you're not just giving, you're agreeing with the mission. You're funding the fire. You're becoming the echo of heaven's knock in someone else's midnight hour. Type "I am a sender of the word" if you feel led. Final blessing code 8181 is now poured over every seed you release.